Well, hello. We are back. It has been a long time, but we're back. It is a Sunday evening, and Diamond Division Vortex F1 Racing League is going back onto the track. Now, as with all great returns, a few hiccups to be expected. The first one's already being shown. Just a few issues with the current stream. Well, we get the overlay back up. It is qualifying. We have 16 and a half minutes or so. It's trying its best. We'll do what we can to get these overlays working. I believe there's been some updates to the game, which means we may have to go without the overlays for today. So today, we'll be using all we've got available in the game itself for our telemetry as Suzuki. If you'll remember, if you've been a long-time viewer, he's always been the first one out. And here we go. 3 sector 1 straight away. Goes the Williams. That fancy livery. I'd never seen it before. New to me. Potentially new to you. We have a few new drivers. We'll address them in a minute. And Suzuki navigates his way through sector 1. This right-hander setting up the long straight. It may have been a while since I've raced, but it's not been a long time since I've seen this circuit. It's an unforgettable one. Down to 43% on the battery before we reach sector 2. Very good. Holding down the throttle for that time. And well over the curbs for the slingshot now. This iconic tiny section. How fast do you dare to go? And it's a purple in sector 2. And almost over the track limits on the exit there, but very well held. Now the final chicane. It tests your bravery over those bumpy curbs and your setup. The suspension will play a huge role. Flat out through the final corner on a 128.044 is the first time we get. A 128.511 for Manju YT, one of the new drivers. Shivam, a newbie for today. Dan Richards goes 28.894 in the McLaren. Oh no, in the other Williams, I should say. It's a little bit like a McLaren with that livery. And Onions on a lap of his own, but already in the final sector. Through that final turn, a tiny bit of a lift for him. And had a tiny bit more battery to burn. 28.451 is the best he's able to get in his first attempt. And now Ken Cheese, his teammate, over the line in the exact same spot at 29.0 for him. Now the two Red Bulls, the only two on track yet to set a time. Who Am I and Hucky. Hucky, Elo, and Manju and Shivam, of course, being new to me at least. Love to see what they've got in store. Who Am I's in the middle of sector 2, while his teammate and across the line for Hockey is a 130.0. Of course, first attempt. Nice and safe to make sure there's a good lap out there, just in case later on when you push, there's no sabotage and you don't have to go safer later on for the sake of getting a time on the board. So at least that's now there, and it doesn't get any worse. Now, who am I? We've seen some great pace from him in the past. He's in Sector 3. Across the line for the Red Bull. It is the new provisional pole by 39 milliseconds. A 28.003 is good enough. And that means everybody, save for Shivam and Elo, have done a lap. We're just waiting on these final two. Shivam coming out of the pit lane now. The Alpine. Taking advantage of the very, very early pit lane exit here. It brings you out in the middle of turn 3. Or turn 4. This is turn 5, I believe. Now turn 6. In the race, you can cut that curb very significantly. Elo still in the pits. The Haas biding its time. Now the slingshot. Of course, it is only an outlap. But it seems nice and clean from the Alpine so far, just making sure everything is in order. The real test will be when we're pushing. Is there pace in this Alpine? At his hands. Most drivers coming back out for outlaps now. Elo remains in the pits. But Dan Richards on an outlap, Manju on an outlap, Onions on an outlap, and Suzuki. Suzuki going through the slingshot now. And Hucky on a lap already, I believe. Coming through Sector 3. Don't know what this Red Bull is up to. He was burning battery in the braking zone there, that won't have helped. Oh, and into the pits he comes. It is an in-lap, unfortunately. And Shivam now on a lap. Pay attention to this man's first lap of VFRL. As we come into Sector 2. Very nice turn in and some great on-throttle patience there. It looked like it's going to be very, very good from Shivam, if not now in the race. Some great driving going on. Sometimes you can just tell if somebody knows what they're doing. And this is boding well. The very tight U-turn here. Slight tap of the barrier. There's something to improve on for next time. Still 9 minutes remaining. It won't stop this still being a very strong attempt. Everybody's laps have begun, but we'll follow through the Alpine. Through the Sector 3 chicane. And the final flat-out corner. A slight lift. But over the line for him, it is a 30.5. Right now, maybe that bump took more out of him than he'd hoped for. But now, Suzuki. The Williams in that black livery. Looks amazing. I wish I knew where it came from, but it was a purple Sector 2 for Suzuki, which means keep an eye, because this is going to be a good one. Across the line, 1 minute 27.6 takes a good 4/10 chunk out of Who Am I's lead. In fact, replaces it with his own. Onions now. Not the next to do it. Dan Richards will be. The other Williams across the line. And stays in 5th position. Now Onions. The Ferrari, his turn to come through. The final turn, but it's too heavy on the throttle and spinning we go. Over the line. That's not the time he hoped for. Onions will be kicking himself after that one. Manju goes to 3rd with a 128.1. Placing his hat in the ring. And Elo still stays in the pits. Now, who am I? Back on an outlap. He begins his fast lap. Right now. The Red Bull tries to take back what has just been taken from him. A very tight cut of that curb. And a great line through turn 3. Absolutely beautiful. Now turn 4. Trying to be heavy on throttle, avoiding the spin, of course. And back on the battery. Allowing it to burn 54%. And it's just less than a tenth faster than Suzuki. He is improving. He hung the car all the way over to the right for the entry there. It was very, very well done. And the same here for the slingshot. Across the curb. And preparing mentally for the U-turn to come. Very harsh braking zone. Cutting back in as shallowly as possible. As we reach Sector 3, it's a 2.8 improvement for Who Am I? Which means there's more to come in the final sector if he wants provisional pole to come back to him. All the way down on the battery now, 16% before this chicane. All curbs taken. Well, they're down to 6%, stopping burning so that this corner can be okay. And down to 0%, it's a 27.732. It was very close. But ultimately, what there was to be found in the third sector was lost. Hucky now, the other Red Bull, back on a lap of his own. Now, Who Am I, of course, in the basic Red Bull livery. Hucky in the Japanese Grand Prix Red Bull livery from 2025. Across the final quarter for him, that is a 28.882. It's a great improvement, but it doesn't quite bring him any further up. Shivam now. The Alpine finding his way through. And we have to work out, is this a fast lap? Or is it simply an attempt to get back round to the finish line in time? Or maybe even the pits? Who Am I on his way in? So is Hucky. We have to work out what's going on with the Alpine. A slight slide there, and into the pits we go. Oh, slightly overcooked on the way into the pits, but into the pits we go at the end. And now one final time. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remain. And that is just enough time for us to get one more attempt from each of these drivers. Suzuki, of course, always out early. Across the line for his final attempt we go. Again, very optimal line through turn 3. Slightly heavy on the brakes maybe. As long as he compensates with a very quick throttle application, we should be fine. Great back on throttle. Very, very brave. Jumping straight back on throttle, generating that downforce, sticking the car to the floor in ways they can't do in real life anymore. And it's an improvement for Suzuki, who's already on provisional pole. Just over half a tenth gained for him. And Suzuki continues his way through. Now the final sector. All he has to do is keep it steady. But it's incredibly clean from the Williams. Now final turn. Not spun around this time. And across the line at 27.397. Doesn't get much better than that, really. And Suzuki, of course, on his way in now. Take a look at Manju, who's improving by a 10th on his own time. What about in the final corner? Manju, do you have anything for us? 28.152, a very good time, but not quite any further up. Onions Please has stopped in the first sector, which means a mistake made most likely for him. Dan Richards coming into the pits, abandoning that lap. What about Ken Cheese? A slight slide in the first half of that chicane for what looked like a great lap. It's a very unfortunate final sector. And over the line for him, it goes up to 5th place, overtaking Dan Richards. Shivam going into sector 1 of his own now. We pay attention to the Alpine once more. Goes over those curbs, maybe a slightly too harshly there. Schrammler seems a little eager on the turn-in. Now burning the battery in very similar places to everybody else. He's a 4.5 tenth improvement right now. It wouldn't quite put him anywhere close to Hucky, but it would be a great personal achievement. Now the chicane, avoiding the curbs there where others are taking them. Maybe the setup he's got is just a little afraid of those bumps, but towards the end, 129.958. It's great work from Shivam, a 6/10 improvement. And Elo has stayed in the pits the entire time, potentially serving a qualifying ban. But that is our qualifying. Suzuki taking pole position today. Now we just wait for everybody to return to the pits. And there we go. So qualifying, our starting order on the grid will be Suzuki up front. Who am I challenging him to his side? Manju and Onions behind them on the second row, waiting for if they make any crucial mistake off the start. Ken Cheese and Dan Richards just behind them. Hucky and Shivam in 7th and 8th, and Elo, who didn't go out on qualifying, so whose pace is hidden, waiting behind. Now, with a relatively small turnout today, anything can and will happen. We'll be readying up in 3 minutes' time. Just giving the drivers a chance to maybe alter some slight things about their setup. Of course, those things they're allowed to alter, such as their front and rear wing downforce levels. But other than that, the setups are fixed as they are. Now just 1 minute remaining before we go. It's great to see some new faces in VFRL. We saw some very close pace differences in qualifying, so I'm hoping in the race we can see quite a nice, close together pack. And here we go, all 5 red lights already. And away Suzuki goes. Off the line goes the Williams. Has his start been good enough? Yes, it has. Who am I and Manju going side by side into turn 1. The Red Bull stays ahead. The Haas goes off. Stays around the outside into turn 3. Manju still fighting for it. Loses that on the acceleration battle on the run up to turn 4. Stays on the inside. No collision between them. Very well done. The Ferrari waiting. Onions standing by. Elo all the way up to 6th already from 9th. Shivam, unfortunately, has shuffled down to the back. But everybody's still so close together. And Onions sending it down the inside of Manju. Manju, who was fighting for 2nd. He goes deep. And out comes the Ferrari. And through goes Onions. A very, very well done move in a very, very tight circuit. Of course, a temporary street circuit in Singapore. So the only drivers on the hard tyres today are Who Am I and Shivam. Who Am I, of course, standing in 2nd right now, with Suzuki having found himself a little bit of space, most likely by virtue of these tyre choices. Now Suzuki, of course, takes fastest lap our first time around. We've done our first full lap and nobody has yet got any car damage. So a very well done first lap to everybody involved. But Onions is not letting go of his chance to take 2nd away from Who Am I. Of course, given the tyre difference, this may just be a short-term goal. We have no clue how the strategy is going to pan out. These 31 laps could bring a 2-stop, could bring a 1-stop. And into this crazy sharp left-hand hairpin. Onions does his best to stay within. The gap is less than 3 seconds. We do have another DRS zone coming up. 60 meters. And the Ferrari's all over the back of this Red Bull. And Onions makes it look like an absolutely done deal. The Ferrari goes ahead on the braking. And who am I? Relegated to third because of the tyre choice. Much less grip at the start. Elo now having a small bit of a bump with Dan Richards. The Haas trying to fight his way back through. Starting from the back. Had a look to the inside of turn 1, but decided against that one. And now to the outside goes Elo. He's given enough space by Dan Richards, but the outside turns to the inside here. The Haas hanging it on that apex, but had to go so slow through the apex of the corner. But Dan Richards carries more. Now Elo remains stuck behind Dan Richards for now, as some small gaps start to form in the field. Ken Cheese, though, hanging on to Hucky. And now Ken goes to the inside on Hucky. The move is made. A very good move from the Ferrari. They're well calculated. And every single move here is about twice as difficult as a move on a regular circuit. Now, it's a very, very good track. That doesn't mean it's easy to make a move. Now Elo on the back of Dan Richards once more. The Haas not happy. And Dan Richards starts to charge. He pulls to defend the inside. They still go side by side under braking. Some wheel-to-wheel contact. But out of it. They're still side by side coming into the final corner. Elo does get that one. Diving up the inside. And still side by side once more. With Dan Richards sending it down the inside of turn 1 and taking it back. These two. Their battle never ending. DRS keeps giving them reason to push. And these two. Ken Shees having caught up to Elo now. A small three-way battle here for 5th, 6th and 7th. Dan Richards having to defend every moment from Elo. All we have to do here is be careful, because if you try and force an overtake around here that doesn't quite go, you'll both end up crunched between walls too thin for even one car. As Dan Richards tries to defend, around the outside goes Elo with the DRS. He does take that one. The question is, if they fight too much, will Ken Cheese take advantage? Will this Ferrari be able to take hold of one of these positions? Just based off of any mistakes made. And DRS once more. These two again going at it once more, because DRS comes again. There's multiple DRS zones around this circuit. And this is one of the best opportunities. All the battery being burned for the Williams to pull to the inside last minute under the braking. And he is ahead. Oh, the Haas of Elo. Oh, never mind. A switchback from the Haas. And Elo stays ahead. Now Ken Cheese is looking to get involved. He sees the Williams go to the inside. He looks to follow him through. They both keep fighting ahead of him. It looks like he's trying to find some sort of gap, either between them or around them. Ken Cheese is setting himself up to always be in the best spot if something goes wrong. Now in the meantime, Who Am I has caught his way up to Onions Please, these hard tyres, finding their way in as Dan Richards and Elo go side by side. Elo on the inside of that corner, Dan Richards still on the outside. Under braking, it goes to the Williams with the Haas once more on a great exit. These two cannot stop fighting. And a slide from the Haas sees Dan Richards pull back ahead. The slingshot, very difficult for some setups, especially when you're 6 laps deep in a set of tyres. And again, once more, Shivam catching up to the back of them. That's going to become a 4-way fight pretty soon. Who Am I with DRS on the back of Onions Please? He's got the tyre advantage. He's just using the Ferrari for DRS at this stage. Now, the move coming soon from Who Am I. Does it come now? It does indeed. Onions pulls to the inside to defend. Around the outside goes the Red Bull. He squeezes him, gives him the space. And sticks it to the inside once more. A tiny slide. More collisions. And Onions goes into the barrier. No damage, luckily. But Who Am I will have to wait just a little bit more to make that work. And the fight continues in the back. Oh, Manju. No, Elo hits the barrier. I watched that happen. He loses a significant amount of time there. Ken Cheese tries to take advantage. Doesn't quite happen. But Dan Richards now has just over 9/10 of a gap as the Haas goes into the barrier on the inside of a corner. Made a very unfortunate crunch. Dan Richards, it's Manju YT, comes into the pits, 8 laps into the medium tyres, and he's binned them off already. That means a definite 2-stop for him, because there are still 22 laps remaining. And Who Am I finally finds its way through. The hard tyres enough of an advantage now, as with every lap that disparity got even bigger. Now, it's Dan Richards, Elo, Ken Cheese and Shivam all within DRS of each other. Shivam hanging on to the coattails of this three-way battle. Now, as one car comes into the pits, and it is Elo. Elo deciding to leave the pack alone. And now Dan Richards forced to defend against Ken Cheese for the first time in this race. It's always been a Haas that he's had to deal with. Until he started, well, before he started overtaking the Haas, of course it was Ken Cheese. Then the battle decided it's going to go between him and the white liveried car instead of this Ferrari. Suzuki's got himself some breathing room at the front of the pack. Onions is hanging on to Who Am I's DRS in the middle of the field, or I should say in the podium positions. The middle of the field looking much more like Dan Richards and Ken Cheese, who've gone 9 laps on these sets of medium tyres already. The question is, are they trying to do a one-stop strategy? If you can make the mediums last for maybe 12 laps, the hards will go for 19. The question isn't if the tyres are good enough, it's whether you're good enough, and if you've overpushed them, if you can keep them going for any longer. Of course, Ken Cheese not giving up on this one, because this is for position. No hits have changed this battle, and finally Ken Cheese to the inside of turn 5. And the Ferrari, side by side, does get it eventually. Dan Richards, potentially having overstressed his tyres from the battle with the Haas, has left himself vulnerable to drivers behind piling their way through, and that is where we're at right now. The Ferrari going slightly deep into the first half of the slingshot. And now Dan Richards not quite happy to let that position slide either. But Ken Cheese has stayed out one more lap on the mediums. As I expected, if they can go for 12, they can make the hards go to the end. And someone like Suzuki up front is going to make them go for potentially even longer. But Dan Richards really is dropping away from Ken Cheese here. You have to wonder what he's done to these tyres in his previous battles to warrant this level of pace drop-off, while Ken Cheese has kept them nice and safe and in good condition. It comes into play in these traction zones, these slow corners. Anything after the apex, it's where you're supposed to be on throttle, and if the tyres aren't gripping, you're not going to get the speed you need. You can see how much of an impact it's having on the lines Dan Richards having to take. He's not quite getting the turn and he needs either there. The hairpin didn't quite go as smoothly, and he has lost DRS. He has lost DRS to Ken Cheese. The gap between them now over a second, as Suzuki comes into the pits at the end of the 12th lap. He could have gone for more, but he's decided there's no need to. Onions Please will follow him through. Second and third both coming into the pits at the same time for some brand new sets of hard tyres. Who Am I, of course, takes the lead in that time. But having started on the hards, his advantage is only temporary. Ken Cheese stays ahead of Dan Richards and Shivam. Now on 12 lap old hard tyres instead of mediums. Looks to harness this advantage. Dan Richards has got himself just within DRS once more. No battery remaining for him. There's a good 30% left for Ken Cheese. This is where we're at, just a second or so between most of the drivers, waiting for these strategies to resolve into one. We'll start to get big group battles, and we'll see towards the end if anyone is going to struggle to make these hards go. And into the pits, finally, comes Dan Richards. As Ken Cheese stays out. The Ferrari wanting to make the mediums go for even longer. But I would argue we're close to mistake territory here. If there's any sort of puncture going on now. Ken Cheese may be at risk. You may just lose too much time. Compared to what he might have gained if he'd gone to the hards at the same time. Dan Richards might in fact undercut him for that position back. This outlap will depend a lot on Dan Richards. And now, you can see Suzuki pull to the inside of Manju. The Williams on brand new tyres, round the outside of Ken Cheese as well, who finally comes into the pits. Suzuki is back up to second. He's got a 22.3 second disadvantage on Who Am I. And of course, this includes a pit stop. Dan Richards is the question. Does he overtake Ken Cheese by virtue of this pit stop? It's going to be close. Dan Richards Comes around the outside. Yes, he does. I thought this might be the case. Ken Cheese has lost his position by virtue of not pitting soon enough. He's now lost 2.7 seconds in that time. That is unfortunate for the Ferrari. But of course, everybody now on the same set of tyres. If he's got the pace, he can bring it back. He's the newest tyres on the grid. So if anyone can make a comeback at this stage, it is him. Onions. As usual, trying to fight Suzuki now. In fact, trying to follow Suzuki through with the DRS. If he can hang on to the back of this car, he can maybe attempt an overtake later, but that's not his primary concern. His primary concern is most likely outdoing Who Am I on strategy. Because Who Am I soon is going to have to pit. In the meantime, if you're losing time by fighting, you lose time to him, because he has clean air and no one to contend with. The Alpine of Chavannes, the oldest tyres on the grid, save for Who Am I. They both started on the hards and have not relinquished them yet. They'll be our benchmark for how long those hard tyres can go. You will use them to make sure they can go to the end for those who pitted to them halfway in. The DRS continues for Onions. He's just using it to hang on. Now Elo with the brand new hard tyres gaining on Chavannes. And Who Am I is pitted after 16 laps on the hards. That is going to change things. Because if he is at puncture range on those hard tyres after 16 laps, well, let's just say the rest of the grid is going to be about 3 laps short on how long they go for. This looks like it might actually be a 2-stop race. If it was a 2-stop race, they should have pitted off those mediums far earlier. I'm trying to remember who it was that pitted 6 laps in. And the answer to that was it was Manju. Manju has got the right idea. I believe. Because if that is how long the hard tyres are going to go for, well, Who Am I? Who's just come out in 4th. has got to make the mediums go for 13 laps by virtue of their limited durability. So everybody is in for a tiny bit of a struggle towards the end. Now the fight for the lead is between Onions and Suzuki. We've already established this circuit is not the place to always be going side by side. We have a yellow flag. And it is Hucky spun around in Sector 2. He has recovered it. Does he have a front wing left on the car? Yes, he does. Does he have end plates left on the car? Is the next question. Does that front wing still have end plates on it? The answer to that is also yes. So well done to Hucky, keeping that car intact. And still, just over 4/10 is their gap. It's been a gap for several laps as Who Am I budges his way by on Manju. But again, Manju is most likely going to pit once more. Dan Richards doing a very similar recovery drive. Ken Cheese has made his way past though, which means the Williams not having the best time of it. We have two battles waiting to boil over. It's Dan Richards and Ken Cheese and Onions and Suzuki. It only means we have to wait for when the driver behind becomes brave enough to make his intentions clear. Hucky has retired from the session after spinning around. That is our only retirement so far, and most likely for the rest of the race. Both battles. We simply wait, and here we go. Manju pitting once more for the second set of medium tyres. He's going to go for these for the next 10 laps. And the question's going to be, can Suzuki and Onions, and everybody else for that matter, make their hard tyres go to the end, or has Manju read it correctly and that they will struggle too much? The issue seems to be that the hards are the better race tyre here. We saw after only 7 laps or so But Who Am I was doing really, really good laps. And now Who Am I on the mediums is doing his best to catch up. But he's got 5 seconds to make up in 10 laps. Which means at least half a second a lap. Quick maths. And Dan Richards slowly losing grip, losing grasp on Ken Cheese. While Onions falls slightly away, only a few tenths. But he's saved so much battery. The Ferrari definitely mounting a potential overtake opportunity now. Will it happen for him? And now is when he burns, the DRS going, the ERS doing the same. But simply that straight, not long enough. Who knows where he's saving this battery for. But he's doing a mighty fine job of saving it. Suzuki has a third of what Onions has in the tank. Surely it'll come soon from the Ferrari. As Manju takes fastest lap, he's all the way up to 6th. And of course, 8 laps remaining. Now, 5 tenths between them, 80% in the battery again, he leaves it. He lets it stay. He lets Suzuki crumble under the pressure. But what can you do? Where can you go to get past someone around Singapore? Someone please tell Onions, because he is struggling. No, I don't quite know what you'd tell him, because I have no answers either. Manju makes his way past Dan Richards into turn 1 to the Haas, up to 5th. He might just make his way past Ken Cheese, but anything further than that seems little impossible. And Suzuki simply cruising. Not much battery left, but he doesn't need it, apparently. Onions is sitting on this huge battery advantage, but with nowhere to use it, becomes slightly redundant. And with 6 laps remaining, everybody slightly distant from one another. Manju has, in fact, made his way past Kenshi's Suzuki. I say nothing's happening in Suzuki. He breaches the track limits 1 too many times, 3 total. And that means a 3-second penalty for him. And Onions, if he maintains his place now, will not only inherit the win, but Suzuki will fall down to 3rd. Who Am I will inherit 2nd place. That is the worst time to get a penalty, because now Suzuki needs to do something more than allow Onions to sit behind every single moment he does this. He sacrifices his victory. He needs to push harder. But now he knows he's dead to rights. He lets Onions by, and the Ferrari gets to take the victory on track that it was about to earn by penalties. Suzuki falls back to 3rd. And Suzuki will allow himself to finish where the penalty was going to make himself lit. Well, was going to leave him anyway. But now the fight for the lead, which may have seemed over, is now completely different. Onions v Who Am I? Who Am I? Half a second behind on newer medium tyres. There is a tyre difference between them. Oh, and there's a slight spin from Who Am I? Oh my goodness, he caught that extremely well. It's now 8/10 between them, with 4 laps remaining. Now 6/10. The question is whether Who Am I is in the advantageous tyre position at this stage. Some people were pitting off their medium tyres 9 laps in. And while Onions' hard tyres do look to be a great race tyre, are they a great battle tyre? We are about to find out. As we go down to 3/10 of difference. And with 3 laps remaining, nobody is going to be holding anything in the tank anymore. The Red Bull's going for it. He's burning everything. He's burning everything. The DRS used 14% on the battery. He pulls to the outside, knowing that the outside here will soon turn to the inside. Who am I? It looks absolutely amazing. And the Red Bull inches just slightly ahead, stays on the outside. And they're still side by side going into the sling. And who am I? Takes that, goes slightly wide for the first half. Onions. Relegated to second after what looked like such an easy victory when Suzuki got a penalty. Who am I is back. DRS once more, the Ferrari returning to take back his lead to the inside. He fakes it. But who am I? Doesn't fall for it, stays steadfast, brakes completely normally. And Onions has wasted so much battery. 2 laps remain. The fight is not over. And now Onion's going again to the inside this time. He knows this doesn't usually go well. The person on the inside, because it turns to the outside. The Red Bull slides, they make contact. And the Ferrari is given that. Who am I? Struggled to regain control of his car there. And the Red Bull's relegated. 2 more laps, or more like a lap and a half. And now who am I? Braver than ever with the lines. Cutting it so close to the barriers. Onions understeers there, goes slightly wide. We now go on to the penultimate lap. It's lap 30 of 31. And the real fight is still for the victory. The winner is yet to be seen. It's Ferrari or Red Bull. Welcome to 2020. Onions is charging all the way through. The red light flashing. He's letting the battery build up. Only using it when absolutely necessary. And who am I having to do all this while contending with the dirty air? He's done 12 laps on these medium tyres. Some people were pitting at this stage because they thought they had to. And who am I pitted off of his hard tyres 17 laps in? You have to wonder if that is why Onions keeps understeering. Those tyres might be dead. He might just be trying to mitigate a puncture now on a big steam. Bunch of tyre wear coming off there as he locks up the inside tyres going into turn 15. And back to turn 1 for the final time. The Ferrari is struggling. Has Who Am I done enough with these tyres to keep them in good enough condition to challenge now? Or are they both done for? Who Am I closes in. He takes to the outside one final time. A tiny bit of contact, but Onions has come out ahead this time, sticking it to the inside. It's a very late move from Who Am I? Onions once more takes the lead. Both drivers struggling with their completely ruined tyres. Suzuki is right behind. He's got his penalty though, so he can't really do anything. Ken Cheese is catching up to Manju. Has Manju got a puncture? What's going on? The Haas. Vulnerable to this Ferrari. What is going on with Manju? And meanwhile, Who Am I and Onions still going. 4/10. 12% on the battery. What is left for them to do? They both slightly lock up. And the final corner, here it comes. They'd better not slide. And there goes Who Am I spinning around. I've cursed it. I've absolutely cursed it. Suzuki takes second place. And because Who Am I spun around, he didn't even gain it. Oh my goodness, I cursed it. I'm so sorry to Who Am I. But well done to Onions. Oh, I'm sorry to Who Am I. I've only gone and cursed it. Manju takes the best non-podium spot you can get. Ken Cheese very close behind in 5th. Dan Richards 6th. Elo 7th. Shabamp in 8th. But a very strong debut, no incidents whatsoever. And across the line. A very unfortunate final lap for one driver who may or may not have been cursed by the commentator. But extremely well done to our Ferrari today. And it's Onions Please that takes driver of the day, race winner. Elo took fastest lap and Shivam got most overtakes and cleanest driver. Onions went from 4th all the way up to 1st. And for that, does indeed warrant driver of the day today. Incredibly well done from him. Thank you so much for watching. It's great to be back. Next week we'll have our visuals again. And this was a great race. We'll see you guys next time.